How to emotionally detach from someone. Have you ever stopped to think about the liberating power of letting go of the ties that bind us to others? How often do we find ourselves trapped in emotions that overwhelm us, influencing our decisions and affecting our inner peace? This question invites us to explore a path less traveled, yet profoundly liberating: detachment. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, teach us that it's not the situation itself that disturbs us, but rather our perception of it. Imagine how powerful it would be if we could observe our own attachments with a clear and objective lens, without letting emotions dominate us. This is the essence of Stoic detachment, the ability to separate our emotions from external realities. There was a time when I constantly worried about others' approval, which imprisoned me in a cycle of insecurity and anxiety. It was only through the Stoic practice of questioning and reassessing my internal beliefs that I began to cultivate authentic emotional freedom. It was a transformation that allowed me to focus on what truly mattered: my own growth and inner peace. And you? Have you ever tried taking a pause to reflect on what's really weighing on your heart and mind? This could be the key to unlocking a more serene and focused life. How about embarking on this journey with us and discovering where it can take you? The power of detachment. Understood. Let's further deepen our understanding of detachment and explore how this practice can transform our life experience. Imagine for a moment that you're holding the strings of several kites on a windy day. Each kite, with its erratic behavior in the wind, symbolizes the various emotional attachments we have. These strings, which we hold tightly, represent our attempt to control or maintain these attachments, even if they pull us in unpredictable directions. Stoic detachment suggests a different approach, gently letting go of these strings. This doesn't imply losing interest or affection for the things we value. On the contrary, it's about understanding and accepting that many aspects of life are beyond our control. By releasing the strings, we're not giving up on the kites. We're simply acknowledging that we can't control the wind. This act is not one of resignation, but of liberation. By readjusting our perspective and redirecting our energy to areas of life over which we have real influence, our reactions, our emotions, and our decisions, we begin to experience true inner freedom. It's a shift that requires constant practice of discernment, identifying where healthy attachment ends and excess begins to harm us. So how can we start this transformative journey of detachment? It begins with introspection. It's essential to delve into deep self-analysis to recognize the roots of our attachments. It could be a relationship, a material possession, a career aspiration, or even a deeply held belief. Questioning why certain things hold so much power over us often reveals underlying fears and insecurities, or a continuous pursuit of external approval. Facing these discoveries can be challenging, but it's a crucial step for personal growth. Additionally, cultivating activities that promote joy and intrinsic satisfaction, like hobbies, personal projects, or time in nature, strengthens our ability to find contentment within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. Through practicing detachment, we learn to value the present and live each moment fully, free from the bonds of attachments that tie us to the past or propel us into worries about the future. Understanding attachment. At the core of our existence lies a deeply human paradox. We're creatures of profound affection, with the ability to establish meaningful connections. However, in our journey through life, we encounter a subtle and often destructive force: the ego. This aspect of our psyche, essential for individuality and survival, can exceed its role and generate attachments that, upon deeper analysis, reveal themselves as mere distortions. These distortions obscure our clarity, distort our judgment, and divert us from the love that constitutes our essence. These attachments, born from the depths of the ego, are strategies to seek external security and validation, an effort to anchor our identity in transient and unstable elements. But what leads us to cling so ardently to these illusions? This questioning invites reflection. As we explore the layers of the ego, we realize that attachments are compensatory mechanisms for deep-seated insecurities and fears. Recognizing this is the first step towards rediscovering our true selves and towards a life of authentic connections and freedom. By identifying attachments as extensions of the ego, we initiate the process of freeing ourselves from its excessive weight. This realization illuminates our return to our genuine selves, a reunion with the essential love that defines us. So how can we transition from an egocentric perspective to one anchored in love? The key lies in consciously transforming our view of personal worth and identity. Instead of seeking validation and security in external elements, we begin to strengthen self-esteem and self-love that are immune to external fluctuations. This paradigm shift is not only liberating, but also inaugurates an existence characterized by freedom, abundance, and above all, unconditional love. Imagine life as navigating through a vast ocean. Attachments are like anchors that tie us to temporary islands, while a love-centered perspective equips us with the sails needed to freely explore life's unlimited potential. By letting go of these anchors, our freedom resembles the act of flying, lifting us above the limitations imposed by the ego towards a horizon of infinite possibilities. The ego, with its ability to create illusions, ensnares us in a fog of falsehoods, provoking feelings of inadequacy, desire, and envy. These illusions lead us to seek harmful emotional attachments in a desperate attempt to obtain external validation that never truly satisfies our spirit but deepens our sense of emptiness. Therefore, the challenge is not to combat the ego itself, but to dispel the illusions it fabricates, freeing ourselves to live a fuller and truer life. The battle for recognition and confronting the shadows that imprison us, narrating our battle for self-acceptance and understanding of our true essence, is more than an exercise in introspection. It's a journey towards recognizing that internal doubts and comparisons are mere shapeless shadows, powerless unless we decide to empower them. Developing self-confidence and internal healing doesn't require isolation or vanity, but rather a continuous reunion with our deepest core, a constant reminder of our inherent wholeness. There's no superior path or nobler destiny to be reached. Each journey is unique, and each step a mirror of our inner truth. In the context of relationships, detachment is understanding this wholeness. It doesn't represent a withdrawal from love or connection, but rather an exaltation of the fullness that already resides within us, regardless of others' presence or acceptance. This detachment allows us to experience the universe's generosity, realizing that our emotional strength doesn't originate from possession or dominion over others, but from harmony, reciprocity, and mutual recognition that each person is essential in our journey. True emotional resilience arises from the confluence of self-awareness and empathy. It emerges from the deep realization that as we navigate life's currents, we are simultaneously solitary navigators and parts of an extensive and complex web of relationships. Faced with this scenario, how can we disentangle ourselves from the ego's bonds and embrace authentic freedom? This challenge is twofold. It requires the courage to delve into our inner selves, confronting and healing the scars that lead us to seek external validation, and the compassion to accept the humanity common to all, seeing each being as a mirror of our own journey. Implementing detachment in daily life is an odyssey that challenges the very chains of our being, an invitation to set sail from the safe shores of the known towards the vast ocean of growth and authenticity. In this expedition, true detachment serves as a beacon, guiding us through the mists of past experiences and relationships that, while shaping the landscape of our souls, don't need to define the contours of our future. Overcoming the fear of missing out, widely known as FOMO, is to fight against the currents of a culture that idolizes ubiquity and the accumulation of experiences. This fear, nurtured by distorted representations of happiness on social media and in the media, entraps us in a relentless cycle of pursuing something always unattainable, an image of contentment perpetually beyond the horizon. Freeing ourselves from this cycle involves rejecting the notion that happiness is a destination shaped by others' perceptions and actions, and accepting that it lies within the journey itself, beneath our boat's keel. Stoicism, with its age-old wisdom, offers the keys to this emancipation, an invitation to focus on what's within our reach, our thoughts, actions, and personal growth. This philosophy doesn't advocate abstaining from the world or its pleasures, but encourages us to recalibrate our perception of value, finding satisfaction and richness in what we truly possess, our existence, our capacity to evolve, love, and overcome. Redefining happiness on our own terms is a revolutionary act, a gesture of courage that allows us to look beyond the murky veils of illusion. By valuing our own merit regardless of external validation, we unlock the potential to experience the full spectrum of life, from the brightest joys to the deepest sorrows, all integral parts of our existence. Thus, detachment is not a period, but a means, not a renunciation, but a closer and truer embrace of life in its entirety. It enables us to form more authentic connections, not only with others, but with ourselves, discovering the hidden beauty in imperfections, vulnerability, and transience. Each moment becomes an opportunity for self-discovery, and each experience a step on the ladder of personal development. Our pursuit of happiness, this incessant quest for happiness, often leads us to mistakenly believe that it resides in remote places, perhaps in the embraces of others, in material riches, or in the heights of public recognition. However, the true essence of happiness, that enduring and flourishing in the soul's soil, springs from a much deeper and personal source, our own being. Self-esteem and the individual journey towards personal improvement are the fundamental pillars where the home of authentic happiness is erected. It's not configured as an inflexible structure imposed externally, but as a masterpiece in constant evolution, sculpted by self-reflection, the desire to evolve, and the ability to be enchanted by our own metamorphoses. Within this panorama, detachment doesn't equate to severing ties or isolating oneself, but to fostering a more genuine and intense connection with oneself. Admitting that our essential value doesn't depend on others' acceptance or presence is truly emancipatory. This doesn't denote indifference, but a self-love that empowers us to be whole on our own, regardless of external conditions. So how can we practice this detachment in our daily lives and truly understand that genuine happiness is an internal journey, not a destination shaped by external factors? We can start by celebrating our small victories and acknowledging our progress, even if modest. By valuing each step we take in our own evolution, we gradually uncover that fulfillment isn't a place to be reached, but a state of being to be cultivated. And you, have you ever stopped to reflect on the origins of your pursuit of happiness? Have you considered that perhaps everything you need may be within you, waiting to be discovered and appreciated? This reflection is not just an invitation to introspection, it's a call to action, to live more authentically and satisfactorily, finding joy in the depths of your own essence. By embracing Stoic teachings, focusing on what's within our control, and serenely accepting what escapes our control, we develop a robust and enduring source of happiness. This joy isn't fragile or conditioned by external factors. It's resilient, sustained by continuous growth and deepening of our being. Though this path presents its challenges, it leads us to an existence filled with richness and meaning. By cultivating our personal development, our life becomes a complete work of art, not because it's perfect or immune to adversities, but because it's genuine. We're receptive to the beauty of the world and others' contributions, but our self-esteem and satisfaction don't depend on these elements. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, one of the most insightful thinkers who ever lived, echoes through the centuries, reinforcing the powerful message of accepting the ephemeral nature of life. The core of Stoicism reveals a fundamental truth about our existence. Everything, from the briefest moments to the deepest bonds, is subject to universal impermanence. Nothing remains unchanged. Everything is transient. Understanding and internalizing this reality awaken us to the dance of life, a constant choreography of birth, growth, decline, and renewal. In relationships, this insight invites us to see beyond the illusion of permanence and to perceive the beauty in the transience of our interactions with others. By recognizing that each person we encounter is with us only for a period, not eternally, we're encouraged to experience each moment with more presence, appreciation, and depth. The Stoic principle of impermanence doesn't advise us to emotionally detach from others, but to accept the natural flow of comings and goings in our lives without fear or resistance. This acceptance frees us from the chains of anxiety that often accompany loss or change. It provides us with a serene readiness to let go, not with resignation, but with a heart full of gratitude for the shared experiences. This perspective transforms our way of experiencing relationships. Instead of clinging to them for fear of losing them, we learn to value them for their essence, for what they represent to us here and now. Impermanence, far from being a source of suffering, becomes an incentive to dive deeper into the waters of life, to love more freely with a sharpened awareness of the preciousness of each shared moment. True freedom in relationships, therefore, doesn't reside in the pursuit of an illusory security of permanence, but in the ability to fully experience them, to surrender to the flow of life with confidence and love. It teaches us that in every farewell there's the seed of a new beginning, and in every conclusion, the promise of a new horizon. This insight isn't just a philosophy of detachment, but a vibrant invitation to self-transcendence. Instead of dissipating our energy on matters beyond our control, we focus on cultivating our own garden, nurturing our growth, and embracing the journey with all its twists and turns. Why not channel that energy into developing inner strength, a strength that remains steadfast in the face of the emotional turbulence that human relationships and their unpredictable nature inevitably bring? Stoic wisdom encourages us to invest in the fertile soil of our being, nurturing the growth of emotional stability that remains resolute and unshakable in the face of life's vicissitudes. By mastering our ability to direct thoughts and emotions, we open doors to a quieter and more balanced existence, freeing ourselves from the bonds of what's beyond our control. In this invitation to introspection, we question where we're directing our energies. Are we trying to master the untamable, or are we building an inner sanctuary of peace and resilience? Reflect on how Stoic principles can illuminate your life, guiding you to a refuge of self-awareness and serenity. The virtue of self-sufficiency, in a world where relationships and material possessions often define our happiness, is emphasized by Marcus Aurelius as an awakening to a deeper, more genuine reality. He presents self-sufficiency not as an ideal of isolation, but as an invitation to discover the satisfaction that arises from the boundless sources within us. This Stoic view, more than just a self-analysis exercise, serves as a compass to navigate the complexities of human relationships with grace and tranquility. Consider the revolutionary idea that true peace and happiness are cultivated in the fertile soil of our own being. In this soil, we plant the seeds of wisdom, irrigate them with resilience, and harvest emotional autonomy. Self-sufficiency then emerges not as a barrier that isolates us from the world, but as a garden where our true needs are met by ourselves. This reorientation of our search for contentment invites us to find satisfaction from within, redefining our interaction with the world. Turning our focus inward rather than outward challenges the paradigm that we rely on external elements, people, positions, possessions, for our fulfillment. Stoic philosophy teaches us that by strengthening our internal resources, we become less vulnerable to the storms of the external world. When our well-being is anchored in our own essence, fluctuations in relationships and the vicissitudes of material life lose the power to disturb our inner peace. This principle not only strengthens us individually, but also transforms the nature of our interactions. By relating to others from a state of wholeness rather than neediness, we foster healthier and more enriching relational dynamics. Visualize relationships based not on dependence, but on mutual exchange between two complete individuals who meet, respect, and grow together. Now ask yourself, are we building our happiness on solid internal foundations, or are we adrift in the sea of external circumstances? Consider how the virtue of self-sufficiency can manifest in your life, not just as an abstract concept, but as a living practice that flourishes at the heart of your relationships and aspirations. Following the winding path in search of understanding and emotional balance, Stoic wisdom, with Marcus Aurelius at the helm, offers us a map to navigate the often turbulent waters of our own attachments. This philosophy, rooted in reflection and self-awareness, not only encourages us to observe our emotions and thoughts from a distance, but to dive deeply into their essence, recognizing their ephemeral nature and, most crucially, the control we exert over them. Consider the practice of introspection as an expedition to the center of a labyrinth. Each step, each turn, brings us closer to understanding the complex attachments we create around ourselves and others. By illuminating the hidden paths of our feelings, we discern the true nature of our attachments. Is the love we nurture truly a reflection of mutual admiration and respect, or is it a chain to our need for approval and fear of loneliness? Deep reflection allows us to clearly distinguish between genuine affection, which enriches our lives, and dependency that traps us in cycles of dissatisfaction and desire. This discernment is the first step toward emotional emancipation, an awakening to independence that empowers us to face relationships and life with maturity and wisdom. By embracing the Stoic practice of regularly examining our feelings and thoughts, we not only understand the transient nature of our emotions, but also discover the power we have to choose how to react to them. This tool of self-awareness is potent in freeing us from attachments, guiding us on a path of growth and self-discovery. So I invite you to reflect. How often do we pause to truly examine the threads that make up the tapestry of our relationships? By cultivating a practice of introspection, we not only unravel the mysteries of our own hearts, but also learn to navigate our relationships with greater authenticity and freedom. As we embrace our social instincts in the quest for balance and wisdom in the complex tapestry of our existence. Stoic philosophy, especially under the reflective guidance of Marcus Aurelius, presents us with a delicate paradox. How can we simultaneously cultivate emotional detachment and still honor our essence as intrinsically social beings? This inquiry leads us to explore not denial, but the celebration of our communal nature in a way that enriches both the individual and the collective. Marcus Aurelius, with his profound introspection, guides us through this labyrinth, showing that living in accordance with our nature does not mean renouncing the bonds we form, but engaging with them more consciously and balanced. Imagine that each interaction with another being is an act of balance. where on one side there is genuine love and appreciation, and on the other, emotional detachment. This balance is not a tightrope over an abyss of indifference, but a bridge that connects two hearts with the solidity of autonomy and the gentleness of empathy. This Stoic principle of balance teaches us to love without possessiveness, to value others not as extensions of our desires or fears, but as autonomous beings, each with their own journey. It is an invitation to cultivate healthy relationships that not only resonate with our innate need for connection, but also respect the sacred territory of individual autonomy. In this way, emotional detachment does not become a cold retreat, but a warm opening to more authentic and meaningful relationships. It is the recognition that, while we cannot control others or the outcomes of our interactions, we can choose to approach them with an open heart, free from the shackles of fear and expectations. Now that you understand the power of detachment, what steps will you take to free yourself from the emotional bonds that limit your true happiness? Share with me in the comments.